While I would have loved to visit more North California communities, I only had time for one more stop, to LinkedIn's San Francisco headquarters, where I did a quick intro with Senior Finance Editor Devin Banerjee for my podcast, The Weekly Pulse. And then it was off to Philadelphia to attend the National Association of Government Defined Contribution Administrators annual conference and meet with other industry retirement leaders. Before the conference kicked off, I had the opportunity to visit a true cultural gem in South Philadelphia's Passy-Young Square and meet with the Victor Cafe's general manager, Rick, and their exceptionally and operatically talented house manager, Robin. Rick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start with the history of the cafe, if you wouldn't mind just kind of talking to the
Not at all.
audience about that.
It has very humble beginnings, but with good intentions. When my grandfather arrived in the United States in 1908, he had a tremendous love for opera, and he wanted very much to be involved with the new technology, and because of his love of opera and the repertoire, he wanted to sell the classical records, and that's what he did. After several years of working and saving his pennies, he managed to open up a Victor record shop.
How did he go from the record shop to this wonderful, beautiful cafe that's been featured in many featured films that we won't necessarily name on camera?
Well, the Depression comes along and people didn't necessarily have an extra nickel or a dime to buy a record, but Grandpop would allow them to still come into the store and listen to the new releases. If Grandmom had soup or sandwiches made, maybe they could have a little bit of that. The idea struck him that he could purchase a beer and wine license and during dinner continue to play the recordings that he loved so much. Come 1979, we hired a waiter who coincidentally was an opera student, and every once in a while he would sing. A year later, we hired another waiter, again coincidentally an opera student, and he would sing every once in a while for the customers. And it evolved to the entire floor staff being operatically trained and singers.
Your staff is, mostly semi-professional or people studying to be professional?
We have the whole gamut. Some have recently graduated their vocal arts programs and they're going to work and make a living and wait for their opportunities. Others are here involved with their agents and getting jobs and hoping that their next gig propels them to stardom.
This show's about retirement. You've lived here the majority of your life,
Right.
all of your life.
Yeah.
How have things evolved for you in terms of managing the restaurant and living in Philadelphia?
We've seen everything here at the restaurant. I mean, when I was a child, I remember weeks where perhaps we served 30 customers. And then, of course, there's weeks where we're doing 1,000 customers. So, I've seen the ebb and tide of this business change with the economy of the country and things like that. And we just try to stay as focused as we can on offering the best possible entertainment and food service that we can.
Rick and his family not only want to create a great ambiance and environment for their customers, but they want to create a sense of community and help their employees. Not just for retirement, but also in encouraging them to obtain their dreams. You're professionally trained. You've gone to school for singing opera and performing. Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Sure. So I grew up with music in my family. I didn't ever see myself being a singer because I'm pretty much reserved, a very reserved person. So it wasn't until I was about 18 or 19, having sung in choirs, that I found that I could sing. And so I decided to pursue it by going to get my bachelor's degree here in Philadelphia, and then auditioned and was hired and just kept going.
We were talking with Rick. He mentioned how supportive the cafe is for all of you all as performers as well as employees. Can you share a little bit about that and how it's been for you?
As Rick likes to call it, it's like a revolving door here, and there's a great deal of flexibility, which is really hard to find as a performer, to have a job that like, hey, I'm not going to be available for a month because I'm traveling or touring for a production, and then still have your job when you come back. And if there's ever like a last minute thing or audition or something that comes up, the staff will pull together so that way that person can go do the thing that they need to do. Not only like as employers are they supportive when we're here, but also they will come outside of the cafe to support us as musicians and as artists.
So Robin, one of the parts of our show is we're talking about the roads to retirement, and as folks who are pursuing your professional degrees in opera, you're working here at the cafe, have you thought about savings and putting money away towards the future?
We pull tips, which is entirely just from service.
Yep.
The singing here is entirely voluntary, entirely based on a tradition. We make what servers make. And then outside of here, depending on the contract or when we're going to get paid, like, because you might do a show for a month and you won't have that paycheck until after.
Got it.
After the curtain. So it's really important to go in already having had stuff to live off of. This job absolutely helps with that, because I know a lot of singers out there, you get yourself into real trouble because you're depending on that next paycheck, which I guess is some sort of motivation. But you also have to pay for voice lessons, you have to pay for coachings, you have to pay for accompanists, you have to pay for travel. It's not counting your car, your apartment, or anything else that a normal person, not normal person, but a non-singer,
right,
non-performing professional would have.
As Americans, we put so much of our energy into our families, friends, and pursuing our passions, often living for the moment to the detriment of our futures. What's clear to me is that we're all on our own path, but it's so important to balance today with being mindful about tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed these conversations. I'm Jeff Snyder, and I look forward to meeting you on the roads to retirement.